that they just plant them and leave them. I'm here to tell you that if you want to maximize your blueberry harvest, this is the wrong way to do it. Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Chantal, and today I'm going to show you how to prune your blueberries for maximum health and production. After we prune these blueberries, I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about pruning blueberries, and we're also going to be talking about fertilizing and soil pH. Let's take a closer look at this blueberry bush over here. This is an old bush, and you really want to prune your blueberry bushes every single year. One very important thing to know when you are pruning your blueberry bushes is that blueberries bear on old wood. So you don't want to prune all the old wood and leave the new wood, because then you'll end up with no blueberries whatsoever. Whoa. So it's really important to leave some of that old growth on, or a lot of it I should say, if you want to have good blueberries on it. The purpose of pruning most anything is to remove any damaged, dead, or diseased branches. So these are the branches that you are going to start off with. Now over here I have some basil that I need to take out of here because it's just crowding the blueberry. And I like to grow some stuff around my blueberries over here. These are in pots because our soil, we were having a hard time with our soil. Our soil pH is not low enough, and that's something we'll talk about in a little bit after I show you the techniques for pruning your blueberries. We'll also be talking about fertilizing and the soil pH that your blueberries need. I forgot what I was saying, I got distracted. Other than dead, damaged, or diseased branches, so right here I see that this blueberry really is mostly healthy. This branch right here looks dead, so I'm going to prune it all the way back, and the rest of the branches look pretty good. So I don't see anything dead, damaged, or diseased on this one, except for maybe one or two branches like this one right here. So what do I do now? Do I just leave it as it is? Well, no. There is another important thing that you need to pay attention to, and that is if you have any branches that are sort of crisscrossing, rubbing against each other, or branches that are sort of blocking the airflow of your blueberry bush, you want to take these off. Now, I will be removing a lot of fruit buds, unfortunately, because this branch right here is sort of in the middle and has tons of buds on it, but I do have to do that because if I don't, this blueberry bush is going to suffer, and I do need it to have tons of airflow. This branch right here is rubbing up against this branch, so I'm going to go down all the way to the base of this branch, making sure not to injure any other branch, and then I'm going to cut it at the base. And now this tree, or this shrub, looks pretty good. I can take this branch off because it's growing inward and it's going to touch this branch right here, so this has to go also. Unfortunately, again, I'm removing a lot of the berries, but I kind of have to do that. Otherwise, this shrub is going to suffer. You see this branch right here? It's kind of growing in and across this branch, and it's rubbing on this branch right here and on this branch as well. So this right here has to go. And this branch right here is also growing in towards the middle of the blueberry. So that branch also has to go. So I'm going to follow it all the way to the base and cut it. Now this shrub looks pretty good. I think I can cut down this branch right here. You see how it's kind of rubbing up against that branch. So this has to go. There we go. I could come along and cut this branch as well. I think I'm going to do that because eventually it's going to branch out and start rubbing up against these branches over here. Or I could cut one of these branches, but these branches have the fruits on them because again they do bear their fruits on old wood. So I'm going to cut this branch over here, or I can allow it to grow this year and then come along and cut this branch at the base. But I think I'm just going to get rid of this one because it's not going in a direction where I want it to go. Now take a look at the difference between this blueberry shrub over here and this blueberry shrub over here. I don't think I pruned this one last year. I might have forgotten to, and this is why it kind of looks that way. So this year we're going to tackle it, but you can see how open this one is and how thick that one. Also the difference between when we first started and when we ended. And if I come close over here and zoom in on it, you can see all these buds over here on it. And eventually all these are going to turn into fruits, and my kids are probably going to devour them before any of us can taste any of them. But fortunately we have several blueberry bushes over here, so I think we'll be okay. I am planning on adding some more, and I would love to add the pink blueberry lemonade shrub. Pink blueberry lemonade, I think. Is that what it's called? I think so. Anyways, I really wanted to buy it this year, but we are buying some more fruit trees for our front orchard, so I'll have to wait on that another year. And I feel really sad because I just want to get them in the ground right now, because they do take some time to start fruiting. So let's go ahead and tackle the rest of the blueberry bushes. I have 4 more to prune, so let's go ahead and get them all done. I got all 4 of these blueberries over here pruned, and they're all ready to be fertilized. I'm not going to be fertilizing the blueberries today, we're just going to prune them. I also have 2 more blueberries in the cottage garden. We're going to be heading over there in just a minute, but I just wanted to show you and address something that's over here. This apple tree fell last season. We still didn't tackle it, but unfortunately because of this, it is blocking the light off of these 2 blueberries over here. And I noticed a lot of dead on them, and also they didn't put on really any growth because the light is being blocked off of them. Right now it is in the winter, so we're still seeing some sun over here, but once everything kind of leaves out, they're not going to receive any light over here. And this tree still leaves out because it's not completely separated off the base. If we look over here, you'll see that the trunk, if I can get you to see it, you see that over there, the trunk is still attached. This thing just stopped recording. I don't know what I was saying. I think so. I was talking about the blueberry shrubs over here. I will have to move them over to the side where the other ones are because there is more sunlight over here. And also I wasn't able to plant this bed last year because of the same reason, because this tree over here is blocking all the light. And what's happening now, it's filling up with all the bittersweet vine over here. So these took root in here, so I'm gonna have to pull them all up. Right now the ground is frozen, so I can't really do anything about it. Once the ground thaws, then I'm going to be coming here and kind of cleaning up this bed. And I really want to take care of this tree this season so that we can get this area sort of cleaned up and all pretty. I do like to plant flowers in this raised bed over here just because it makes the vegetable garden look so much nicer. Because if you look behind me, we have these vegetable beds over here, and it would be nice to kind of have something facing them on this end here behind me that has flowers in it. And it kind of would be when you are entering the vegetable garden on that side over there, you would be greeted with beautiful flowers. So now let's go ahead and finish the rest of the 2 blueberries, and then we'll talk about the fertilizing and what else did I want to talk about? And soil pH. We have 1 blueberry bush right here. I think I planted it last year. I'm not exactly sure. Or the year before that. Yes, it's the year before that. And we also have another one right there. I'm going to leave this one right here, and I will cut it after it fruits for us, because I did cut a whole bunch off of it. Same with this one over here. Anything that's kind of going inward into the bush, I'm going to be cutting off after it is done fruiting. This way we can get some fruits off of it. if I cut this branch over here, then I would be getting rid of all of our fruit for this season. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to leave this branch over here and train it a little bit to go in this direction, or just leave it as is, and then by the end of this season I can come over here and cut this to a lateral branch. What I mean by that is I can go down all the way to the base right here, and you see this branch that's heading in this direction, so I can come and cut it right here once it is done fruiting. This way we'll end up with some sort of fruit this season, while also allowing this branch right here to grow, because it's a really good branch, it's a healthy branch, and I would like to keep it. I do not want to get rid of it. So it is actually healthier than this branch over here. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna leave this over here. I only have to do minimal pruning on this, and then by the end of the season we'll come here and cut this branch to the lateral branch. And this is all I took off of the bush. I'm gonna set these over here so that I can talk to you about fertilizing and soil pH. So blueberries generally like a pH between 4.5 and 5.5 or 6. And I like to keep it in the middle. I want to get it to the point of 5 pH. So during around the early spring, I would come with the soil acidifier and sprinkle some soil acidifier around the base of the blueberry bush, and I would scratch it into the soil so that it can get absorbed. Preferably I would have done that in the fall, and I think I actually did in the fall. I just forgot. So I like to do that in the fall, and if your soil pH is super low, I would do it in the fall and in the spring, so that the soil acidity sort of gets lowered down pretty quickly, because the blueberry bush is going to suffer. We had our blueberry bushes that were in the pots in the front of our garden, in the front yard, and what happened is that these blueberry bushes ended up suffering so much, and also the deer were munching on them, and this is partially why I put them in the pots in the vegetable garden, to put them in a protected space and keep them away from the deer, but also because in the pots I can sort of fix the soil pH and keep it to a level where I would want it to if the soil was a super alkaline or super high pH. And our soil pH typically is between 6.8, in some areas it's 8, which is really drastic, and I don't understand why it is that way, where there could be such a big difference from one area of our garden to another. And anyway, so this is what you want to do with your soil pH. And I use organics. I use, I think, Job's Organics for the soil acidifier, so you can use that. And I've seen really good success with it on these 2 blueberries over here that I have in the cottage garden, and I will continue to use it. And the thing is, so when you are using soil acidifier, also you just want to keep in mind to check your soil pH so that you're not acidifying the soil so much where it's going to kill your blueberry bushes. You don't want it to go below 4. So that's for the soil acidifier. Now after that, in the spring, I will come again with some with some fertilizer, maybe some manure as well, and I would apply it around the base of the soil. And I use organic fertilizer. You can use Halotone, you can use Plant Tone if you are applying soil acidifier. The Halotone is great if you are not applying soil acidifier, because that is going to provide it with some acidity. It's not going to be the same as it would be if you were using soil acidifier. The soil acidifier is going to provide you with a lot more acidity. So if you have a low pH already, you don't have to worry about that, but over here we don't have a low pH, and so we do have to be concerned about that. So you want to give the blueberries a good amount of nitrogen so that they can put on those leafy growth, and so that they can gather enough energy from the sun in order to grow their roots and their shoots, and also to produce fruits for you. But you also don't want to give it too much. There has to be a balance. So this is why I like to use these sort of pre-balanced organic fertilizers like the Halotone and the Plant Tone, because they're already pre-balanced. They don't have tons of nitrogen in them. I think you probably can use tree tone. I don't think that's going to harm them, but a tree tone is not going to have any soil acidifier in it. Again, you can apply a soil acidifier separately from the tree tone. I've never used tree tone on them. I don't see why not. You can totally do that. And there are other organic fertilizers. You can use blood meal if you want for the nitrogen. You can use some other, like maybe worm castings and chicken manure. Chicken manure is great, and I've used that on them last season as well. We have some chickens over there, and they provide us with excellent chicken manure. You just want to make sure to let it sit first before you use it, because it's going to burn your plants if you don't, because chicken manure can be pretty acidic. Well, blueberries love it, but it also can be pretty hot, and that will burn your plants if you don't let it sit for a few months before using it. So I do want to say one more thing about pruning, and that is when you are pruning your blueberry bushes, take into considerations if there is an old branch that you kind of want to get rid of, but you're not ready to get rid of yet. Take into considerations of leaving some of the new branches on that look like good specimens, like I did with that blueberry bush over there in that area, so that you can kind of raise them up to be a second year branch, so that they can produce fruit for you while the old branch is producing fruit for you. And then once that is done fruiting, you can cut it back in the next season or in the summer after it's done fruiting. So this is something that you have to do on a yearly basis with the fertilization and pruning and all this stuff. It is really important to do that every single year. You don't want to kind of let your bushes go like I did with one of them in the pots, or actually a few of them. I might have forgotten a few of them in there, and I did not fertilize them and I did not prune them. So just make sure to do that every single year. If you want to learn more about pruning and you want to watch some sort of gardening videos and you kind of have the winter blues and you just want to see something beautiful, you can check out some of my videos over here.